What's up, guys? Welcome back to Viewer Castles. Today we're going to start off with Ivisthegreatest. Castle level's a 30. We have this mage that he validated with. So let's jump into it. Looks like he's got a 50% win ratio. That's pretty average for... It's not even average. It's like above average for level 30s, I think. I don't really see like the 70% red castles. I hardly ever see those at the level 30 range, so... pretty much average. Let's just jump into it. Or above average, rather.
You're going to be far
Okay.
3 minutes from now.
So we start out with one of these empty castles. Generally, you have to just kind of track down the mines, or race to the end. Those are your two options, really. You can race to the end and hope that he didn't put mines there, or you can track down the mines, and if there are mines there, then you should be able to 3-star it, but if there's not, then you'll probably 2-star it and just get timed out because the defender didn't have to validate and go through this part of their castle. So like right there, I wasted a little bit of time going through those two ends that didn't have any mines in them. And it takes more than like 30 seconds that you get from killing off all the mines, the bonus time. Alright, so currently there's 2 rooms that aren't being used. That leaves, I believe, 4 left. I think 6 is the max. Maybe 7? I don't know. So 3 rooms currently that can have creatures or traps in it, basically. I believe we're down to 2 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. Should be down to 2 rooms that can have creatures in it. So I think that's 1 room in the boss room, or it might be 2 rooms in the boss room. I'm not sure. I need to actually get better about that, because that's a way that you can figure out what you're going to be up against. Basically, I kind of know that I'm going to be up against something that's like everything in the boss room, and this itself looks like it could be the boss room. Let's wait for me to get enough mana for a volley, and then we'll drop that in there, and pull this stuff out into the area where there's no traps. Since I already have a feeling I'm going to get timed out because I had to, walk around the entire castle, I'm not going to worry as much about trying to finish it on time. Rather, just try to take the least amount of damage as possible. Alright, so there are 2 mines that are left are going to be in here. Actually, it looks like there's going to be 4 mines left. I kind of like this mouse wheel room setup a little bit better than mine, actually. I might switch to something like this. Alright, so what I want to do now is actually aggro everything. Once everything gets aggroed, you don't see this boss almost ever. So I was going to kite things backwards, but I'm not sure that I'm going to have to.
Ready to go.
I'm not sure about this boss. Like, I don't know exactly what he even does, because I haven't seen him hardly ever. And I've played this game a very long time, but hardly anyone has ever used him. It seems like he just launches those bolts, which they do about 300 damage each. But he just sits there and he doesn't really put any pressure on you to move. Lots of smelly warriors. Just try to get them all synced up so it's a little easier for me to dodge them. And I'll leave that boss alive for as long as possible because he's going to cut away from the hard cap while not really adding much to the fight. I definitely would think that that's one of the first things you should change if your castle is underperforming, as I think that's probably the worst boss in the game. Do I want to say that? It'd be between like him and probably Mr. Firesley. I think I like Durr and Captain Clubbage better than both of these guys, just because they each have a stun associated to them. And Mr. Firesley has a stun as well, and I think he definitely does more than this guy. I'm not really sure what this guy does. Like, he's just kind of sitting up there. Alright.
The bigger they are.
So yeah, let me heal up just take a look at this boss room a little bit closer. This is kind of a rare thing where you have all of these flame traps. I don't know where you had the creatures. Did you have them up here? Like, where did you actually have the creatures in your boss room? Were they inside this area here? It might still work because I think everything will still be inside of the aggro circle. It'll push them all to the inside right next to the boss, possibly, which is fine. I'm not sure if that's how it was, because there's a safe zone inside right next to the boss, like right here. So if you put all of your creatures on the outside of this boss, they should all shove inwards towards this area here, and then they all should still aggro and it should work fine. It's an interesting boss room. It's a little bit more expensive than using spike traps to zone the person out from like kiting inside of it, but that's pretty much it. And then obviously leading up to it, the mouse wheel room is good. Probably better than mine, to be honest, so I might want to change mine. The only thing that I would change is like my mouse wheels are all just in a line, and his are like indented into the room, so you have two in the middle that go down the hallway on each side, and that actually makes it so that like if they're all just long ways to the end and there's nothing that's indented from the hallway, they'll all go to the end at the same time. Every mouse wheel will hit the end at the same time, so you'll have this like time period where you can roll through the middle and not take any damage, not get stunned. But whereas these ones, you'll have these ones at the end, but then it's hard for me to explain. Like the ones that go down the hallway are halfway. I should have probably stayed in the castle to explain it a little bit. Basically, there was ones that go down to the hallway that come out to like here, and then there's ones inside of the room itself that go like this, in this box here. And basically, when these ones hit the end all the way down here, the ones that are in the hallway will be kind of sticking out towards the middle. So that like small area where you have that small window of time where you have a free pass through the mouse wheels isn't really a free pass anymore because there's mouse wheels sitting in the middle. That's the easiest way for me to explain it. It's probably pretty confusing, but if I was able to show it, it would be different. So I might do something like that. I don't know. I think it might work slightly better. But yeah, let's jump into number 2 in just a second. Alright, next up we have Henry, 1999. Cast levels of 22. He's got this archer here that he validated with. Let's jump into this. Obviously level 22 is going to feel a lot easier to a level 30 than it should be, so I have to just keep that in mind as I'm going through it.
Shouldn't be a problem.
Alright, so I've talked about this room before. It's used a couple times, but it's not the most common way of using spike traps. But it still works about just as well, pretty much. Obviously, a big upgrade for you is going to be level 24 when you get 3 active panels instead of 2. And that's pretty much it for this room. This setup here actually kind of works counterintuitively to itself. Like, you have the Scorpio, which will push someone back onto the spike traps, which is good, but it's also going to push him away from the IMAX, which is bad. So you kind of have to rethink of exactly like what's going on in this room, and try to like make it mesh well together. So you either want the Scorpio to be unhooked to pull him into the IMAX, or you want things to push them back onto the spike traps. You don't want to do both at the same time, or else it's going to work against each other. I mean, I guess if you dodge the hook, maybe you have to dodge into the IMAX's eye line or something, but it probably won't work like that, even if that's your thought process. And the bad dog it's fine. I think he might be a little bit too far away from the other two. Also, if you don't kill the bad dog right away, and you just like aggro it with your like face, I guess, you just kind of go up into his aggro rage. These two guys are ranged, but the bad dog is melee, so once he walks into melee range and then you kill it, they won't get the effect from the berserk or whatever, the increased attack speed. So that's something to keep in mind. Alright, this room is hardly ever used. And then it looks like that leads into the boss room. So basically this is your front boss room area. I would prefer these mouse wheels to be sideways, if at all possible, just like these ones, because it makes it more difficult to get through on this angle rather than just right here. Like, I only have to go across this small area of this mouse wheel and, you know, get into there. Obviously I got hit anyway, but I think it works a little bit better, since you have to go over both of them rather than just one. Okay, so I have a couple options here. I can, you know, fight it all in the boss room, which is going to be easy for me, or I can kite backwards. So let's see how it feels to kite backwards through this. I think these two on the end, these springboard traps, are unnecessary. Alright, and then I get out. I still think that having them on the side is better. Makes it a little bit more difficult for me to get through, and then you can just maneuver everything around to make that work. But this isn't really an easy room to fight in, so you would even want to kite back even one more room if you're going to kite back. This gets a little bit easier, but it's still not bad. I think the only reason this is easy is because there's nothing down this hallway. There's no springboard traps there. That might help out a little bit. But there's enough ballista trap pressure here that's it's a little, at least a little bit difficult to fight inside of. So that's good. Again, IMAXs are so hard to make use of. They're so slow that they're hardly ever going to hit. When they do hit, they do amazing damage, but they don't hit enough to make it worth it, I don't think. Unless there's some way that you can force them to hit, which I don't think there's any way incorporated into the game right now that you can force them. There used to be, back when Hunger Bots were good, but they're just not that good anymore. So yeah, other than that, I think the boss room is fine. I think pretty much the entire castle is fine, except for the few things that I mentioned.
No.
And then basically just rush up to level 24 when you get three spike panels active. I think that's the biggest upgrade. Even level 22 doesn't really have a good upgrade anymore because it used to be fire mines, but they got nerfed pretty heavily, so it's really level 24 you want to get to. And then after that, I don't even know. I guess 26 is good for Zeeks and Smelly Archers and Smelly Warriors and all of that. But yeah, let's jump into number 3 in just a second. Alright, next up we have BarbosulDragos. Cast levels of 30, has this mage. Low crowns for a level 30, and this castle has... It's never won yet, but that doesn't mean anything because it could have just been built like today. So there's no real way to see this. Let's try not to be the first person to die to the castle, that would be awesome. 3-minute timer. Not too much else to say about this, so let's jump into it and see what he has inside.
What's yours will soon be mine.
Alright, so let's see. Alright, so we have linear quarter, I believe, is the room here. I'm gonna kite this backwards because kiting Stairmasters on that specialization is pretty much the only way to take no damage from them, I think. They're pretty difficult. It seems like that was really low level. I'll have to double check. Yeah, these are level 22. So I can already see a big problem here, and the reason why you have a low win rate. That's going to be because your monsters are just underleveled. Obviously, you saw how easy like the last castle was for me to just kind of stomp through creatures. It's the same basic principle. If your creatures are too low level and your castle's over leveled, it's going to make it a lot easier for everyone to get through. The only problem is you're like losing real attacks rather than just practice attacks. So you'll lose crowns and stuff like that. I mean, they're not practice attacks, but if you're over leveled and you attack someone, you can't just bully them. Like you'll take 0 crowns. Alright, so this is good, but the problem with jelly walls is that they do deteriorate after like 10 seconds, so you just kind of twiddle your thumbs for 10 seconds and they go away. Okay, that was weird. I don't know why that like hung like there was a wall there, but that's kind of odd. I guess I'll just fight this inside. What's the level on the pound more? Only 24. Yeah, that's going to be your main problem. It's just level of creatures. So far everything seems fine. This room works pretty well for sustained damage and stuff like that. Okay, this is actually a castle similar to what I built once. At least this part of it is. I don't know if I don't think I used that first room. I don't know. This is a while ago. I might have actually. Linear quarter, that actually might have been something that I used. And I remember it because I did this at level 28, and since then, these Stairmasters have been nerfed to the point where I don't think this probably isn't usable anymore. So keep that in mind. It was probably my most successful castle, maybe since Open Creation came out. I don't know, but it was a really successful one. It was like 80% plus win rate on this thing, but that was back when Stairmasters were good, and I don't know that they are really anymore. They got nerfed in terms of their size of this and the damage of that. The only thing that they gained from it was that you can be hit by multiple spheres at once. The problem is you're not going to be standing in one, let alone two spheres at once. You're going to just like be kiting through it, and you might take 2 ticks of damage. So you want that the damage to be as high as possible. So that's why it's kind of like a nerf to them, because they nerfed the damage, but they buffed the thing that doesn't matter, which is that they can tick multiple, like 2 of them can tick at the same time if they're overlapping. So it might be good if you have like 4 of them in a group or something, but with these groups like I built previously here, it's just not as good. Alright, and then this goes into an empty boss room, and the losses that I did have were pretty much from people just racing to the end of the boss room. That was like the only way to do it. And that was actually probably the best way of doing it, but for some reason people just weren't when they were going through my castle, which was nice. Because it used to be really difficult to go through this, but obviously your creatures are under-leveled compared to the level of your castle, so that's the biggest deal. That's probably what you should work on first, and then if the castle still works well for you, that'd be great, but it probably doesn't anymore. Alright, so I believe that was number 3. Yeah, it was. Okay, so we're going to end the video here. As always, if you guys enjoyed what I do, please subscribe. If you want to be a part of ViewerCast, you can email me at frenzycastleruns@hotmail.com. I currently have 2 more episodes to do, so 6 castles. Don't know when I'm going to be recording more viewer castles, probably next week sometime. Currently I have to rebuild my castle, which actually it should probably be already rebuilt, and then record some of the forest over the next day or 2. I don't know what ordering this stuff's going to come out, so you might have already seen those videos by the time this comes out, but either way, probably do some more viewer castles next week or this week, depending on when this video comes out. I really shouldn't talk about the present day because sometimes I'm recording these like up to 5 days in advance, so yeah, that is pretty much it. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.